Here are 25 fun and easy songs from the 70s that you can start playing on the drums today, even if you're not an experienced player. Here we go. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. I believe that no matter who you are, you can master the drums when you're armed with the right know-how, and I believe this video is going to help you do just that. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, and while you're here, check out my totally free e-guide, How to Learn Any Song by Ear in Under 60 Minutes. It's a really powerful, impactful method that revolutionized the way I learned songs and prepared for gigs, so it's sure to help you out too. It's totally free. Check it out in the description. At the end of the video today, I'm going to share with you some quick tips for getting that 70s sound out of your snare drum so that you can more authentically play a lot of these tunes. Whether it's the deep, beefy sound or the dead sound, we're going to talk about how to get that quickly, so you don't want to miss that. So these are some of the most popular songs from the 70s. They're some of my personal favorites. But what they all have in common is that they're pretty basic, simple, and straightforward as far as drum parts go. And so you can gather the gist of the song very easily. But these songs are a lot of fun, easy to catch on to, fun to jam out to, so I hope you enjoy. Number 25, 25 or 624. Of course, that one needed to be number 25. By Chicago, really fun song with just driving eighth notes on the kick. Honestly, the biggest challenge here, if you are a beginner, is keeping up the pace there with those eighth notes. So this song will really help to strengthen your right foot and get that going and increase your ability to stay within time going from regular time to half time, because the groove goes to half time where it suddenly goes to half tempo there. And so you're going to get great practice executing that in time and keeping that smooth and solid. Really fun song. Number 24, Baba O'Riley by The Who. Such a fun, just all-out, cymbal-smashing rock song that, like a lot of songs from the era, goes into just randomness near the end, but nothing too crazy and nothing that you can't follow. Depending on how old you are, you might have grown up hearing this song, and I think we've all heard it at least a few times, and so it's a very familiar song. Because it's so familiar, it's very easy to catch on to. Number 23, Superstition by Stevie Wonder. Now, playing this one exactly like the record isn't exactly easy because there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of feel here. But getting just a basic 4-on-the-floor beat going is not difficult. And it's a great song for a beginner to get going to, just to work on funk and to gradually work on that funky feel with that funky hi-hat stuff. So it's a song that can grow with you. If you are new to the drums and you start out with this, know that you can continue working on different aspects of Superstition for a long time. Number 22, Love and Happiness by Al Green. This is one of my favorite just groove pocket songs where it's that basic money beat the whole way. Never changes, super simple. But if you're a drummer who maybe you're not a beginner anymore, and maybe you've gotten to a point where you're trying to clean up your playing, you've built the chops, but now you're trying to simplify and get clean and improve your pocket, I think we can all use pocket improvement, honestly. This is a great song for doing it. Practice just jamming out to Love and Happiness, playing nothing but the basic beat. Number 21, another Al Green song, Let's Stay Together. So very similar, just a pocket groove with an extra note or so in there, but still very simple and straightforward. So you can literally take your pick of those two, whichever song you like more, and practice just jamming out in a super chill way. Number 20, Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. I've heard of this song being banned from a lot of music stores and guitar shops because too many guitar players would play it, and so it's against the rules to play it. Doesn't change the fact that it's a fun rock song that has a lot of very specific parts, like a lot of rock songs do. So in learning this, you build that skill of going from one part into the next, going from one part of the song into the next part, and you're playing this drum part here, this drum part here. All the drum parts are very simple and easy to catch on to, whether or not you play them exactly like what's on the record. And so in learning this, you develop those arrangement skills of feeling out a progression of a song through its different sections. Number 19, The Joker by Steve Miller Band, kind of like Smoke on the Water. It's one of those very played songs. If you've ever played in a cover band, you've probably played The Joker way too many times, and so your eyes roll when you hear me mention it. Your eyes roll when somebody requests it on a gig. But it doesn't change the fact that it's a very simple, easy to play song that's fun for a beginner, and if you want just a nice relaxed pace, just smooth rock groove, it's a great one. Now we're getting into a couple of dance tunes here. Number 18, Boogie Shoes by Casey and the Sunshine Band. This is just a very simple groove song where it's that same groove the whole way. So in a way, that's the challenge of it, playing that same groove the whole time and not deviating from that. And another great party song, number 17, Get Down Tonight by KC and the Sunshine Band. Different groove, this one's a little bit more challenging. It's tougher because we want to keep the kick drum very tight and concise and not heavy and cumbersome. In playing that 3 beat, boom, bap, boom, boom, nailing that actually requires a lot of precision and it's not easy at first. So if you are a beginner, I'd encourage you to practice this without that extra note. Just play kick on 1 and 3 and then work on adding that in slowly, gradually building that up because you want it to be very quick, clean, precise, and not heavy and cumbersome. So this is a great song that you can grow alongside, and there will always be something to work on with it in improving the feel of this groove as you improve as a drummer. Number 16, a rock epic, Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. This is such a cool, just heavy, gritty, epic song, but it's pretty much just a groove song. It's just this driving groove that goes the whole way through. What's interesting about it is that Bonham isn't just playing on 1 and 3 on the kick, but there's kind of a ghosted E right after it. So it makes it very interesting. It's a unique feel, and so there's a lot of subtlety and nuance with this groove that is hard to imitate. And there are some Bonham-esque fills that happen later on throughout the song that are tough to imitate. But starting off, it's a great song to jam out to and to really enjoy playing along to, even if all you can put together is that basic beat. So again, it's a song that can grow alongside you. You can continue working on different aspects of it as you develop as a player. Number 15, Disco Inferno by The Tramps. So if you are into 70s music and you're into just getting better at 70s drumming, you gotta work on your disco, work on playing just the ands with your right hand, or maybe you've got a 4 on the floor going on kick and snare, but only ands happening with the right hand. That's hard to do. It's hard to play that evenly and consistently, and so practice that very slowly. It's a great thing to get good at because it's just a cool kind of groove that's very versatile, and it can even show up in different styles other than disco too. Number 14, Hotel California by the Eagles, one of the most popular songs from the 70s. It's a very simple groove, but what might be challenging if you're a beginner is playing the hi-hat pattern exactly as it is on the record there with those added 16ths instead of just 8ths the whole way. But like a lot of these songs, it makes this a groove you can grow along with. You can start with something simple and then you can add in those 16ths later if you need to. Number 13, Stayin' Alive by the Bee Gees. So that's a really fun classic 70s song, another great disco song. But unlike the disco beat from the Tramp song, this one is just straight 8th notes the whole way. Just keeping the hats closed, not just playing on ands, but playing the 8th notes. So it's just a very simple pocket 4 on the floor disco beat, and so another very practical type of feel to get good at, especially if you're into 70s stuff. Number 12, Lovely Day by Bill Withers. This is a really cool song and it's challenging because of that kick drum part, making that tight, especially at the beginning of the song where you're actually playing 16ths on the hats. But it's a fun, just simple pocket groove the whole way through, but that kick drum part has to be precise, has to be tight and not heavy and cumbersome, a lot like what we talked about in Boogie Shoes. So it's a groove that is simple and it's straightforward. The song is very straightforward, but there's a lot of nuance and subtlety that you can continue working on for months and even years as you develop your technique on the drums. Number 11, Easy by the Commodores. Simple, slow, loose kind of ballad. This kind of groove is so much fun to play. This song definitely has its challenges though, because there are those hi-hat open note stabs that happen. So if you're totally new to the drums and you're playing this, you can leave those out and then add them in later. But they are an important part of the groove, and if you're playing this song with a band, because it's such a common cover band song, people love this song, you want to make sure you're nailing those, and so that's a fun challenge to get to. Number 10, Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac. This is probably my favorite song from the 70s. I love that album, Rumors. Lots of good stuff there. This is a really fun song because it's an up-tempo 4 on the floor with a cool tom pattern. Not a lot of these songs have tom stuff in them. That wasn't a common thing yet in music in the 70s. It came around more in the 80s. But it's so cool that this song has that, and so it makes it unique. You work up the independence to play that 4 on the floor and that tom pattern in the verses growing into just the full-on groove for the choruses. So really fun song. I love this song. Number 9, another Fleetwood Mac song from that same record called Dreams. Very simple groove. Same simple groove goes the whole way through. What makes this song unique is that there are these occasional crashes on beat 2, basically at the beginning of each chorus. And sometimes they're even hitting the snare on beat 1. Which is just interesting. It's unique. It's a great thing to get good at doing, hitting a crash, kind of like a fill that ends on beat 2. It's a very musically practical thing to become comfortable playing. These next 2 songs are extremely simple groove songs, but they're also very fast. Number 8, I Want You to Want Me, Cheap Trick. So this song is just pounding quarter notes the whole way. It's that swung quarter note kind of feel, just driving the whole way through. Great practice for playing something so simple yet so fast and keeping that steady. Also pay attention to the kick pattern in the song because there's not a lot of kick at the beginning and it's used as a tool to progress the groove in a very simple, fundamental way. And also number 7, Mr. Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra. This one has a very similar kind of feel as the Cheap Trick song. It also goes into some interesting stuff later as well as a totally different tempo 4 on the floor groove, but none of it is out of the reach of a beginner. I think it's a really fun, still straightforward song. Once you listen to it a few times, get used to that groove. It's really fun just to play along to. There aren't really any big surprises. You can just have fun jamming out to it. Number 6, Heroes by David Bowie. This is a cool song, and it's really just a groove song where the same groove goes just relentlessly throughout the song. There's also some cool open hat notes that happen that match up with the rhythm guitar riff. So listen for those, pay attention to that. If you learn to execute those and insert those open hat notes on the ands, well, you'll definitely grow in your hi-hat skills, but that's something super challenging that you can get to as you work on the song. So great song to start off on as a beginner and then to grow alongside you. Number 5, one of the greatest 70s party band songs of all time, September by Earth, Wind & Fire. If you're not super familiar with the infamous tempo morphing in this song, it starts off at about 120 BPM, speeds up to about 128, so that's almost a 10 BPM fluctuation, consistently, steadily getting faster as the song goes. So if you ever find yourself playing this with a cover band, you kind of have to talk it over and say, guys, are we going to try to go faster and faster as we play it, or are we going to hold the tempo down? But it's a very simple groove with a couple of little hits and fills throughout. Really fun, just Motown feel. Very fun song. I think it's a great beginner song. Number 4, Soul Man, the version by the Blues Brothers. This one's really cool because it is simple and there are specific parts, and so you get better at feeling out a song and feeling the progression of the song and the dynamics of the song as you're learning it. But there's also a lot of nuance, there's a lot of snare ghosting, and a lot of interesting kick pattern stuff at the beginning that you don't have to work on imitating right off the bat. It's a fun song to jam out to, have fun with, you definitely can, and it can definitely be a beginner song. But if you're coming at it from a more intermediate or advanced perspective, there's still things to work on. So it's a song you can continue working on for a long time. And that's something a lot of these in this video today have in common. I'm not just giving you really super simple basic songs, because those are great. Songs like that are great, but you also want to find songs that have a little bit of an element of challenge, but where you can still have fun immediately, but then gradually work on those challenging elements as you go. Number 3, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. So kind of like 25 or 624 earlier, this groove just has that relentless eighth notes pounding on the kick. And so this really forces you to work out that right foot to build up that strength, which is really cool. It's great to work on these fast songs just to build up the stamina and practice staying relaxed while you're doing it. See if you can play Don't Stop Me Now while staying relaxed. You'll be very much ahead of a lot of other drummers if you can do that. Number 2, Heartache Tonight by the Eagles. Very simple groove, very unique drum sounds on this. This big boomy kick, and there's that clap sound panned off to the left. Really cool, really fun song that's kind of foreshadowing of a lot of the 80s drum sounds about to come. But very simple parts, very simple band hit rhythms. Easy song to catch on to, a feel that's very practical to learn. Get really good at that, kind of that slow, swung sort of feel, but really fun song. And our last song for the decade from 1979, Electric Light Orchestra, Don't Bring Me Down. This is a really fun song, and it's just a fat, just super fat and driving groove that feels so cool. It's a really neat drum sound. And so this one, you can just practice hammering your way through a groove with heavy sloshy hats and a deep beefy snare. It's a fun one to try to get that drum sound and then practice grooving on it and playing it. It's so much fun. And it's literally just a groove song. Great song for beginner. Time for some quick tips on getting different 70s sounds out of your snare drum and also out of your toms and your kick. If you're learning a lot of these songs, and if you're into 70s music, you find that there are some unique drum sounds that are very achievable, and actually you can get some of these very quickly. Some of those songs have that deep, beefy snare sound, kind of like Don't Bring Me Down, where if you just tune your snare super low, just get that kind of sound, you're there. That's all you got to do. Or even just detune a couple of the front lugs. So tune it kind of low, detune a lug or two. That's going to get you just that kind of sound. Or you could also take a drum head cutout and throw that over the snare. It'll make it a little bit more quiet, but you're still going to get that low kind of sound. And if you smack it real hard and play a rim shot, that could definitely work. Now, if you want like a tighter, snappier, higher snare drum sound, like what you'll hear in those Casey and the Sunshine Band songs, and a lot of more up-tempo stuff from the 70s, what you might want to do is tighten your snare wire. So tune things pretty tight, obviously, but tighten the snare wires also to match that higher tuning. But if you want to go the extra mile with this, what I've done before is I'll actually take a piece of tape and tape the snare wires on the underside of the head to the resonant head of the snare drum to make it even more just quick and dead. And I think that sounds great for playing a song like Boogie Shoes by Casey and the Sunshine Band, where you've just got that super short, high, crack kind of snare sound that's great for that type of music. The interesting thing is still a versatile sound, and it can work really well for hip hop too. So if you want that type of tight, high-tuned snare sound for a hip hop tune, that could also work. So if you want to do that and throw a piece of tape on there in the middle of a gig, you totally can, but you can get by without it as long as you tighten the snare wires a lot. And by the way, when you're tuning low and you're going for the kind of sound, you want to have the snares looser, so it's a bigger, beefier type of thick sound. Lastly, if you're playing one of those Al Green songs or any of the songs that just have a more dead, short snare sound, my quick solution for that is throwing this bandana I have over the snare. It's just a super thin cloth. All it does is it shortens the sound. It muffles it a little bit without bringing the volume down too much and without damaging the rebound. Honestly, I still have all the rebound I need because the cloth is so thin. So all it does is just muffle things. So I can throw that on there and just instantly have the dead 70s sound. I've used that on gigs so many times because it's so quick and easy to do. What about the kick and toms though? So if you're playing a whole gig of dead sounding stuff, it might be worth going to some of these measures to get that sound from your kick and from your toms also. I like to just focus on the snare because that's what people hear the most. And so if you're on a gig and you're trying to switch sounds around, just worry about the snare. But if you're playing a whole gig of stuff that needs a dead kick drum sound, or you're recording something that needs a dead sound, take off the resonant head. Don't try to stuff your kick full of a bunch of muffling and whatnot. If you want to get rid of the resonance, take off the resonant head. And then you could push a pillow or a blanket kind of against the batter head and put your mic in there up close. And so you'll just get a lot of attack, kind of that quick punch and dead sound, the easy way to do it. As for the toms, there's a couple routes you can go. You can kind of do the tea towel kind of thing like the Beatles were famous for by taking thin cloths like that bandana and throwing those over your toms. So that can work. Or you can take a bunch of tape or moon gel, put those around the edge just to deaden it so that you still have a lot of that punch and that tone, but it's just shorter. That can really help you with getting the 70s sound. Or you can put some O-rings, any kind of muffling on your toms just to focus the sound a little bit more. Usually that gets you in the ballpark. Now, if you want to get crazy, you could also take off the bottom heads. And one time when I recorded a very tight, dead drum sound, I took off all my resonant heads off the kick drum, off the toms, including the floor tom, so that things were super dead. And so you can go to that extreme if that's what you want to do. But just some ideas there. I feel like the kick and the tom ideas are better for recording purposes, but the snare ideas are a little bit more quick and simple, and you can use those on a gig anytime. Hey, thanks everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this provided you with some value and some helpful information. If it did, go a little further with me. Download this free e-guide I have, 5 tips to learning any song in under 60 minutes. If you want to really get into song learning, especially if you're a beginner, you need to figure out how to learn songs quickly so that it doesn't take you all day to master a song. This method, this proven method that I've been using for preparing for gigs for years now, this is going to help you learn a song and very quickly just learn the gist of it and be sitting at your kit and playing in under an hour. So check it out. The guide is totally free. Go download it in the description. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe before you go. Thanks again for watching. I will see you on the next video.